Honestly, guys, I don't get it either. There is a strange phenomena going on here in the Nutnfancy project. Probably several of them, but the one I'm referring to right now is the timing and specifically the content of some of my videos, my philosophy videos that I post. And then it seems shortly thereafter, world events will transpire to a degree that totally supports that video. Okay, right now I'm referring to the riots in England. Okay, and I just came out with a video a couple weeks ago called Without Rule of Law, Sense of Community. And what's going on in England right now totally backs up several of those concepts I put forth in that video. I'm going to do my best to cover those here. I'm going to springboard off that event and really drive home what I feel is a precursor, sadly, of things to come. Okay, that's one purpose of this video. Another purpose is a show of support to my friends in England. Year 3 now in the Nutnfancy Project, TMP, and I have a lot of supporters and friends in England, and I'm wishing them well with this video because they're caught right in the middle of that crap going down over there. Honestly, I hope I don't come across too heavy on this video because I'm kind of pissed about it, because those are my friends through the Nutnfancy Project that are stuck in that. And because of that protectionist culture over there, which I'll talk about in this video, they're pretty much defenseless. Yeah, it pisses me off. It should anybody who has, I don't know, common sense. Goodness gracious. And then maybe I'll give you a few tips on what I would do if I found myself in that situation. Okay? Let me tell you right now, I don't know all the facts of what's going down in England. Okay, I may be off on what I'm going to say here, but I have some opinions on it, and yes, it's going to kind of dovetail back into those previous videos. Closed to engage, gun-free death pay, obligation of carry, concealed carry protocol, sheepdog concept, and the Minuteman prerogative. Can't believe I remembered all of them offhand. Go check out those videos because almost all the concepts I'm going to talk about here are going to be contained in those videos. And they really play in what's going down in England right now. What's going down in England? Well, it's August 2011. We have a localized event of WROL, without rule of law. There's lawlessness and complete rioting going on, with the police running. What? Yeah, sound familiar? Yeah, I've talked about this in my videos, just like that one I referred to. WROL, sense of community. In that video, for instance, I said that first and foremost, let me just jump right in this, and this is going to be kind of scattered. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. This is time critical. I want to get this video out there. So I'm going to jump around. The first thing I want to jump to is the fact that emergency services can and will be overwhelmed. In this case, police services in England. How are they doing over there? Well, last time I checked, they're not doing so great. Drawing from, let's see, this is Associated Press article. Let's see, they said, this is great. Stephen Lennon, leader of the English Defence League, told the AP that 1,000 members plan to turn up in Luton, where the group is based, and other areas that have suffered most. And we're going to start carrying out patrols trying to deter the rioters. And hundreds would join them more on Wednesday. Sorry if this is helter-skelter. This is what he said. I love this. We're going to stop the riots because police obviously can't handle it. You got that right. Check this one out. Oh, this is a great quote. London's beleaguered police force noted that it received more than 20,000 emergency calls on Monday, four times the normal number. They called in reinforcements. Okay, great. My building's burnt down. Your reinforcements arrive in 2 days. What good does that do me? Oh, man, we've talked about this stuff. People are seeing images of lines of police literally running away from the looters and the rioters. For young people, that is incredibly empowering. Can't speak. They are breaking the rules. They're getting away with it. No one is able to stop them. Okay, so at least temporarily, the police forces in England are being overwhelmed. They're non-functioning, or they're not able to contain what's going on there. There's a very important point with their current rules of engagement. Okay? I say rules of engagement because what we have over in England is the protectionist culture, don't we? The protectionist culture is a fantasy world. Okay, all good people are disarmed. It's for the betterment of society. We will all benefit from it if we are all just disarmed. The government / police forces will do every type of protecting you should ever need. I'll tell you this, nothing crashes down that fantasy world of protectionist more than a good shot of reality. Just like you're seeing in England, the riots. How's that protectionist culture working there? How's the gun-free zone working in England right now? Do the citizens in those communities getting ransacked by these rioters, do they feel safe? Do they feel secure? Ask that to the home businesses that have been burnt to the ground by these rioters. Okay? The protectionist culture is a lie. It is a complete lie. To say that you are better off disarmed is a complete lie. And I will tell you this, if this situation were to go on for any length of time, I actually think it's temporary. Okay, they're going to have enough manpower to throw at it that they will contain the situation because it's localized WROL. It's not nationwide, it's not worldwide. It's localized, meaning there are other emergency services, police forces they can draw upon from unaffected communities to roll into the battle. Reinforcements. They will get control of it. They have to. If their current stupid tactics don't work, they'll go to something else that does. They have to. It's common sense. Okay? But do those citizens feel safe in those communities being disarmed? No. The fact is they're arming themselves up right now with baseball bats, with cricket bats. I read one story, a restaurant guy ran out with a rolling pin. That was his weapon of choice. And my point was, if this continues to go on, people would arm themselves even more. They would create their own weapons. Forget guns. Hey, I don't have a gun. You don't need a gun. Look at what the Viet Cong did in Vietnam. You know, the ingenuity of their weapons and a lot of the third world conflicts that have gone on, there's been some very ingenious weapons that have nothing to do with guns that are very lethal. I said that again in previous videos. You know, if you outlaw guns, you totally disarm a populace. There's all kinds of dangerous things, lethal things that an evil person can come up with. Maybe in this case, they're not evil people. They're good people trying to defend their families, their places of business. All good things. But emergency services, at least this week, appear completely incapable of restoring order and law to at least southeastern England right now. Here we go. Things I've talked about in my videos. WROL can be localized, like in this situation, and who knows, it could spread. It could go bigger. And I'll tell you, this situation is very reminiscent to me of the Rodney King riots, 1992. During that time, dudes, I'll tell you what, I had my SIG 226 and 4 20-round mags in the car. Yep. Don't be a victim. I'll try to reinforce that before the video ends. You know, you want to do a Reginald Denny on Nutnfancy, get ready. You're going to have a little surprise on your hands. And I think there's a lot of people in the United States of America that would feel the same way. I know a lot of TMPers that way personally, that they will not stand to be a victim when they're doing nothing wrong. They're law-abiding citizens, they're good people, and here they just by random act of violence, they're going to be killed, maimed, tortured, you know, whatever. Yeah, emergency services not doing a great job in England. No big surprise there. We'll see it again. And again, this is a precursor of things to come. You'll see it here in the United States. Again, probably on a much larger scale. Okay? Who's ultimately in charge of your well-being? The protectionists will tell you it's the government. The government's going to protect you. We're in charge of your well-being. All you have to do is keep us in power. And, by the way, give us money. We're going to up your taxes to pay for our protectionist society. That's what they'll tell you. That's what they tell us here in the U.S. We have a huge protectionist society. You might call them progressive, same thing. I call them protectionists because it's such a joke what they put forth. And I'm sorry, but England is a country that is ruled currently by protectionists. Just look at their gun laws. Oh my goodness, it's just a joke. The police will protect you? I don't think so. It's get even time. That's another concept I rolled out in that last video. That when WROL ensues, again in this case, probably temporary, localized, it's get even time. What are they getting even for? I don't know, let's go back to Rodney King riots. And again, this going off memory, I didn't do any research beforehand, but I think it was like a racially based issue, right? That Rodney King was found guilty, and then they said, hey, that isn't right, you know, it's a racist trial. Racist? I mean, do they know the facts? Do they know what really transpired in that event? No. Do they care? No, they don't. It's an excuse. Okay? And again, I'm not politically correct, and I just speak my mind. You get the straight truth here in the Nutnfancy Project. I'm about truth. We're talking truth here. Okay? Back then in '92, did the rioters really sit down and go, wow, you know, let's weigh out all the facts and let's see, you know, if we're really justified in doing this? Wait, are they ever justified in doing what they did, burning down places of business, dragging out an innocent motorist from his vehicle and smashing his head in with a brick, a white guy? Were they justified in doing that? Did he have anything to do with anything down there? No. Did they care? Not the people doing the crimes down there. They don't care. It's get even time. You know? With who? Well, I don't know. Get even with Whitey. You know, you want to speak honestly, back then, that's what it was. Hey, you guys aren't giving us enough money down here. I don't know. You know, despite the millions we've pumped into Los Angeles back there, it still backfires. The welfare state does not work. Didn't work back then. It's still not working today. And yet the protectionists, the progressives will say, no, we need to pump more money in it. Not working. You know, same thing in the riots in France. You know, how did that work for them? Okay, I don't want to get into a whole big political discussion, but it's pretty poignant and applicable to what's going on right now. So we fast forward to the London riots. Is race involved? Again, I don't know. I don't have all the facts. Okay, but does it really matter? Okay, does it really? I guess there was a shooting of by the police officers there in Tottenham neighborhood, and it morphed into general lawlessness. In other words, again, we see it was used as an excuse to play anything goes. Anything goes, man. Off to the races. One rioter said, come join the fun. So anybody who rolls into this video, honestly, and attaches some greater philosophical meaning to the actions of the rioters in London and all of England, you guys own them in the comments. I will not put up with it. I don't like it. Don't attach greater meaning to it, because you're saying that lawlessness, the threatening of innocent people's lives, is justified in these situations. Well, you know, these people are downtrodden. Again, I don't have all the facts, but going back to my life experience, generally those facts are completely wrong. It's wrong. It's get even time. And I don't care what color you are, white, purple, yellow, I don't care. I do care about attitudes. I care about actions of individuals. To me, that weighs out a lot. You know? And let's say, just theoretically speaking, you have a neighborhood and it has, I'm not going to use colors. I'll just say that neighborhood is color A and this neighborhood is color B. And this neighborhood goes into rioting for whatever reason. But the B people go, you know what? It's time to go get even with the people in A neighborhood. They have nothing to do with what's going on in B, but it's get even time. And without rule of law, this is a really key point I want to drive home, they can do it. They don't have to worry about repercussions. There's no rule of law. There's no threat of force against them, at least from emergency services. That's what we see going on in England. Why are these guys running around smashing storefronts with bricks and stuff? They don't care. How's those cameras working in England? Are those providing immediate security in that big brother state? They're a joke. Now, granted, they may chase these people down and prosecute them later. What about the here and now? What about the shop owner whose family business is getting burned down? And the police are cowering over there on the corner, afraid because their hands are tied. They can't use water cannon. They can't use tear gas. Again, tying the hands, the protectionists. Well, we don't want to hurt people. Great. That guy's family's just got put at risk and his whole livelihood's just thrown out the window. Is that okay to do? You know, in this theoretical example? No. I'll tell you what speaks, though, is the threat of force. Okay, we saw that again in the Rodney King riots. Shop owners armed themselves. You know, the rioters would progress down the business, and then some Korean shop owners got on their places of business. You guys ain't coming here. I've said this in other videos. And they stood on their rooftops, and they threatened anybody who came to try to burn their place of business down with death. you know? But wait, they weren't using lethal force. Oh yeah, they were. Fire is lethal. You know, someone in your flat in England, if someone comes and tosses a Molotov cocktail towards your building, to me that's the same as shooting a gun towards me. That's a lethal weapon. And in most, I'll forget that, I'm not going to talk about laws, but I'm talking about natural law. It can and should be answered in kind. Okay, if someone comes and tries to kill your family, you're saying you shouldn't just sit there? Just sit there, not do anything? That's what the government in England would have you do. Okay, so yeah, let's get even time. And the way you answer that is, I'm talking without rule of law. Remember, the police are nowhere to be found. You've called 20,000 calls. They're overwhelmed. They can't respond. What do? Guess who's in charge of your security? You are. Remember the video? Again, going back to without rule of law, sense of community, you guys are banding together as neighbors, and you're going to create rule of law in your neighborhood. That's my first advice to my English friends, is you find some like-minded neighbors, and you say, listen, we will not stand for this, and you arm yourself with whatever you think you need to do. Bats, you bet. Don't stand for it. Cops aren't around? Sucks. We're going to have rule of law in my neighborhood. Okay? You should in yours over there in England. And you need some people to help you. You can't do this alone. You need probably a lot of people to help you. And you need to be armed with something. Bats, you can make some lethal weapons. Which is a good time to roll in, use good judgment. Okay? Don't do, without rule of law doesn't mean, it's a free-for-all and we just start doing careless things to endanger other people's lives. That's never what I've said in my videos. What I say in my videos and my life philosophy is you have graduated levels of response, and you really reluctantly go to the higher levels of response. You're trying not to go to those levels. You're trying to flee if you can. If you can't flee, you can't get away. Maybe going back to the Molotov cocktail example, you can't get away because they're at your place of where you live, your residence, your home. They're going to burn your home down. Then it's maybe time to up the level of response. Baseball bat upside the head might do that. Okay? Maybe a couple upside the head might do that. Maybe you need to fashion a lethal weapon. Easy to do. How about some surgical tubing and some steel? Steel rods, bend it, make a launcher for steel darts, stabilized with some arrows or strings. Deadly. You don't need a gun. Yeah, it'll go through body armor, that thing. Yeah, it's been used in other countries. You can make it there. I'm just saying, you don't need guns. And it goes back to another principle. You can't outlaw people trying to defend themselves. They will come up with ways. And likewise, evil people will come up with ways to hurt good people. We're talking history of mankind here, guys. It's not rocket science. And yet the protectionists totally reject that line of thinking. They totally reject it. They don't believe it. They're like, no, that doesn't happen. Well, you need to read about human history more. Gun-free zones are failures. Again, we see that in England. Complete failures. They've pretty much, for all intents and purposes, taken away the UK's right to own guns. I'm talking in private hands. Definitely for self-defense. And from my understanding, court cases in England have gone to the criminal for guys who have broken into homes of innocent victims and they've looted, they've robbed, and then the homeowner subdued them, maybe smashed them in the head with a bat. The homeowner's brought up on charges. There you see the fantasy world of the protectionists. And that is why you're seeing what you're seeing now in England. Because they have had their way politically in England. Here are the results. How's that gun-free zone going in England in August 2011? Pretty sucky if you ask me. Now let's draw an example. Let's say that same rioting takes place in, Kennesaw, Georgia. Okay? A lot of guns in Kennesaw, Georgia, right? God-fearing people down there. You think they'd put up with what's going down in England? Dudes, they would not. Those rioters would be met with shotguns, AR-15s. No cops? Who cares? We got this. It would be quelled quite quickly. Be careful, though, because now the protectionists will go, well, the reason the rioting in England is not as worse is because there are no guns. You ever heard that lie? Well, it'd be a lot worse if gun ownership was allowed in England. There'd be gunfights in the street, there'd be a massive loss of life. Bull crap. That is another protectionist lie. They said that when we passed concealed carry. They said that in Florida. When Florida was the first state to enact concealed carry, the protectionists said, oh, here we go. John Wayne syndrome, gunfights in the street. You guys have really done it now. Did those gunfights ever materialize? No. Do good people with a pistol in their belt go out and cause crime? No. The device never corrupts. It's the lack of a value system that corrupts. As we see in England right now. Those youth running around doing what they're doing. Where's their value system? They're obviously not thinking anything about stealing. Okay, smashing in windows. Hey, it's get even time, and plus I get a free TV, yo. Awesome. It's get even time, man. So the device does not corrupt. And if you had gun ownership in England, kind of like it was way back when, you probably would see a lot fewer problems with this rioting. Assuming the political system backed up those individuals, okay? Saying, hey, you guys do have a right to use lethal force to protect yourself when met with lethal force. Again, common sense, natural laws, man. God-given rights is what we're talking about. So don't buy off on the protectionist lie. Oh, well, because there's no guns, it's safer. Bull crap. The United States has the lowest violent crime of all the developed, well, I wouldn't say all, but most of the developed countries. And we have huge gun ownership here. Okay, so lots of guns does not equal lots of violence. However, without rule of law, it equals less violence. You know what I'm saying? Because no police forces, these guns come out of the woodwork, and people are enabled and able to protect themselves, like in Katrina, until some were confiscated. Then we can restore lawlessness, or restore law, I should say. Okay, so guns are good. Gun-free zones equal death pay. That's what I'm saying, is that you are emboldening the predators of society. I don't care who they are. They're these young rioters. They're wolves. They're people who feel like they need to racially get even. They want to steal what you have because they've been unsuccessful in life. You owe it to them. I'm going to go get what you got, and you ain't stopping me. My gun says differently. Press to test. I hope you don't, but if you do, you're in for a big surprise. It's just like the Old West, man. The gun talks. It's a great equalizer. I should say it's a great restorer of peace and rule of law as well. Goodness sakes. Molotov cocktails. That's a lethal weapon. I have a note here. It's a lethal weapon. Someone throws a Molotov cocktail at your house. They must be throwing a bomb at your house. Answer in kind, I say. Dude. Again in my video, without rule of law, sense of community, I introduced the concept of, mob groupings. About how bad people, maybe desperate people, will group together and go out on a hunting expedition. Perhaps arriving in your neighborhood, just like those poor folks in England are learning right now. Who cares what the motivation is? It doesn't matter. The lawlessness and their willingness to commit all manner of violent crime is what matters. And they're going to look for targets of opportunity. Undefended neighborhoods that are inaccessible by whatever police forces are available, if any are available. And they might be coming to a town near you. Okay? Also in that video, and again I want to reinforce the concept of you also grouping together with your good neighbors. Okay? You have to. You can't do it alone. You'll get overwhelmed. I don't care how prepared you think you are, how studly you think you are, how good of a shot you think you are, how much body armor you got, whatever. You're just going to get owned, dude. You have to have help, okay? And your neighbors have the most at stake. They need to man up. They need to flush their stupid protectionist philosophies down the toilet where they belong, and they need to wake up to reality. And I think that's going on as we speak in England right now. I've seen it play over and over again in life. The protectionists, the progressives, they have this beautiful painting of life of how it should be. Reinforced by the liberal universities across the world, by liberal psychologists and philosophers, and oh man, it's just going to be awesome. This is the perfect way of life, and it is a lie. you know, shattered by the realities of violent crime as we see now. Okay, because they have actually created a culture that emboldens these individuals, because they really don't have to worry about much. Hey, there's not even water cannon to shoot at us. Oh man, no tear gas? Are you kidding me? It's hunting time, man. Let's go have a good time. By the way, let me say this, asterisk to that. I'm not saying that we should arm the police forces up to the nth degree, because what frightens me in the future is who's going to be controlling those police forces. You know, so we give them all these amazing capabilities. Let's say we arm them with armored personnel carriers and all that. That's great, perhaps, at this day and age. But what about the years, the decades to come? Who's controlling those police forces, and what are they going to be enforcing in the years to come? I'm just going to throw that out there. So I'm not saying that. But the fact remains that, you know, the current tactics of the British police forces right now are ineffectual, and it emboldens them because of the protectionist culture. TMPers in England, this message is for you. I'm really rooting for you, by the way. You need to get a group together. Okay, you need to get like hopefully 100 individuals in that group, and you need to stand out and protect your properties with bats, with homemade weapons. Look on the internet, there's all kinds of ways you can make homemade weapons. And if it really gets ugly, I'm talking about this goes on for weeks, you may have to ramp it up again, going up that response continuum, which I said back in 2008, continuum of force is what I called it. Maybe you'll need some lethal options in there too. Hey man, we're going to go ahead and torch your neighborhood. No, you're not. Yes, we are. Now what are you going to do? You might be calling your bluff. You might have to answer. You have to defend your family. You have to defend your place. Let me tell you this. I'm not sure what English law says. I assume it's probably very bad for the defender. Okay, remember, this is localized rule of law, meaning that it's probably temporary, order will be restored, reinforcements are coming in, and then the protectionists are once again going to be in charge, and they're going to call you out for your actions. Well, why did you defend your neighborhood with this? You had a Molotov cocktail getting ready to throw at the rioters. Well, because I was getting ready to die. They're getting ready to flame my family and myself. English court of law, how do they look at that? I don't know. I'm not the English court of law expert. I can tell you God's law is how that would play. Rock on, you did the right thing. But apparently the right thing is not what is pervading in the legal system in England. I apologize. I wish I could change that. It won't be easily changed. Messed up, man. Let me reinforce this. Use good judgment, guys in England. Okay? Don't use more force than is necessary. Avoid conflict if at all possible. Stay in your house. Stay low-key. You may not have to do a show of force at all. I suspect the reinforcements are going to roll in. Order will be restored. Don't use more force than is necessary. Number 2, don't be a victim. Okay? To me, that supersedes whatever country you're in and whatever current law there is. I don't think a country and their political system has a right for you to roll in on you and say, you know what, you do not have the right to defend yourself. It's not theirs to take away. That's a God-given right. It's a natural right. Okay, go reference my Minuteman Prerogative video. Talk about that at length in the history of it. Maybe a bit detailed in history, but it plays out and it sets the stage of exactly what I'm talking about. It's not theirs to take away. You have the right to defend yourself. I don't care if you're in England, Egypt, Japan, the United States, New York, San Francisco. You have the right to defend yourself. I don't care. Don't care. Arm yourself, number 3, if you have to. Okay? It's up to you what you're going to use as an armament. And it sucks you don't have a lot of options. Here in the United States, we got lots of options. You've seen them here in TMP, right? Dudes, that kind of crap rolls in our neighborhood. I've already told you on my ROL vids. They're going to take a double take what they see. What? My gosh. Next neighborhood, move on. That's what they'll say if they don't, dudes. They're stupid. And if they call the bluff, very regrettable. Very regrettable. I'm dead serious in that. It's not something that we look forward to. But if they decide to employ lethal force, however that comes, you know, they better brace themselves, because what they're doing is evil. It's flat out evil, and one of my missions in life is to resist and oppose evil. Yours too, right? Do it. Arm yourself. create some weapons. All kinds of creative ways you can do that. I already gave you one. Okay, number 4, you better have a will to use them. If you don't go stand out there, because they may call your bluff. Things can get ugly. Okay? But what's worse, being victimized and murdered, watching your family get murdered. Now, I'm not saying it will go to that, but I'm kind of broad stroking ROL situations, WROL situations.
On the move.
What's worse? I'll tell you what's worse, the evil that will be perpetrated on good people. As they are murdered, raped, their possessions stolen, everything they've worked for in their life just taken from them for no good reason whatsoever. Is that right? Is that justice? Can you justify that? No. So you better have a will to use that weapon. I got that will. Okay, it's a done deal. So that decision was made when I was, 20 years old. Probably 7. But I'll just say for the camera, 20 years old. That decision's made. Again, going through the Force Continuum, using good judgment. Boom, it comes to that. Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll. Don't bring it weak. They bring it weak. Dudes. Hopefully they don't bring it at all. Okay? Also, TMPers in England. Remember, this is localized without rule of law. Order will be restored, most likely. You may have to answer to the English justice system. They probably have you on camera defending yourself, and they'll consider you the criminal. It's jacked up, I know. Welcome to the protectionist world. What you need to do, and everybody that sees this video, is vote out protectionists. Vote out liberals that promote this protectionist system, that actually strive to disarm all good people. Okay, if you're a one-issue individual in the race of politics, it should probably be your right to defend yourself. If you have a politician that is on board with that they're on board with you owning a gun, then probably in a lot of ways they're going to be on board with a lot of other issues I personally care about. Okay, in England, the right to own guns is lost. It's gone. Maybe this will wake some people up to the realities of the predators that wait in society. Get even time. You bet. Come join the fun. Yeah, man. Free TVs, free jewelry, free food, free money. Get even time. Don't assign greater meaning to their actions. Race motivated, wealth motivated, they're put down. Is it really justifiable what they're doing? Take it up in the courts. Go through the, rule of law system. Goodness gracious. Oh, finally. I got to wrap this up. I hope the best for my friends in England. I really do. And I hope that you're completely unaffected by the lawlessness that's going on out there. And again, the phenomena here in TMP. I've discussed these things in other videos, and here we're seeing them on the world stage play out once again. And unfortunately, you're going to see this again and again, and probably in much larger scale. You ultimately are in charge of your well-being, not the government. You are. Your family's well-being. Okay? Your neighbor can help you. Talked about that in the last video. Use them. Good judgment, Force Continuum, have a plan, and have some will to put it into practice. Okay? Do not be a victim. You don't deserve that. You haven't done anything to deserve it. For you to be victimized like that, personally, I won't put up with it. That's why I was carrying that SIG 226 back in 1992. I wasn't going to be a victim back then. No way, dude. You want to go Reginald Denny on me? You got a surprise coming. It's going to be about 76 rounds of 9mm. Okay? And if you go down fighting. In that, there's honor. That's what I say. Okay? Again, sorry if I came off heavy in the vid, dudes, but I'm pissed. Because I'm pissed my friends in England do not have better resources to protect themselves. It's a messed up protectionist nightmare over there, and you're seeing it play out right now. Wishing the best for you guys. This has been another time-critical Nutnfancy self-defense philosophy video. Thanks for all the support. See ya.